Hello, my name is Marta Miranda Johnson, and the topic chosen for my presentation is genetic engineering, the side effects on ecosystems and society. Bioengineering seems to be an important theme for ecology and humans because it involves the manipulation of natural food resources and other genetic matters that are necessary for human survival. It also provides agricultural advancement. It is controversial because it involves the environment, science, society, and politics, since GMO seeds may be hazardous for ecosystems and human beings, but we don't know exactly yet because it hasn't been had too much evidence for that. Some of the reasons of why I chose this topic is because it involves technologies that may affect our ecosystems, our lifestyles, also our biodiversity. It may change our landscapes, what we eat, and our lives in general as human beings. And I believe that agriculture has always been a considerable part of the interaction between man and nature, and this relationship needs to have boundaries in order to be a healthy relationship. Um, Transgenic organisms are in rise in a time where economic growth and progress are the main goal of corporations, so it's also a political matter due to the economic reasons. And there is not much information about the side effects of GMOs. Um, and biodiversity is very important for us as human beings. Some of the biotechnology benefits are related to how they modified genetically animals, plants, and some other some other discoveries, but we are going to focus on the creation of transgenic plants that are resistant to herbicides. One of the main arguments used by GMO defenders is that the use of this method for solving worldwide hunger is due to the high yield crops it produces, but for now there's still an unequal access to food in the world, so this problem hasn't been solved by technology so far. The main topics that are going to be discussed are the ethical issues related to the practice of human interference on the plant's DNA, biodiversity loss, and the main issues involving local organisms such as insects, pollinators, and pests. The ethical issues related to the practices of human interference in the plant DNA. They are related to how some genes could be activated and the consequences of it are unknown. This organism may be activated under certain conditions like severe weather, and we don't know how to handle with them in case that happens. Genes can mutate and have harmful effects. The genes could get into destabilization. Um, Genes can end up in unexpected places. Escaping of genes may occur, passing on to individuals of the same species or even other species. Transfer of allergenic genes. This could be accidentally transferred to other species, causing dangerous reactions in people with allergies. Intellectual property rights could slow research. The proprietary nature of biotechnology products and process may prevent their access for public sector research. Socioeconomic to having loss of farmers' access to plant material. Cultural, as the GMO seeds promote the monopoly and the monoculture in a certain area, so that would affect the cultivation of crops by small landholders and influence their diet and traditions. Biodiversity loss. So we may have a reduction of biodiversity caused by the GMOs because there is the use of herbicide and pesticides and resistance to it because the use of the herbicide could be increased, which would cause a negative impact on the surroundings. and the use of herbicides and pesticides could have effects on non-target species. Although the pesticide can protect crops against unwanted insects, they can also have an unintentional effect on neutral or even beneficial species. Range use involving local organisms such as insects, pollinators, and pests. The interaction with wild and native populations could cause the modified organisms could compete or breed with wild species. Farm fish in particular may do this, and GMO crops could pose a threat to crop biodiversity, especially if grown in areas that are centers of the origin of the crop. The impact on birds, insects, and soil biota. Um, it could cause potential risks to non-target species, and it is feared that widespread use of GMO crops could lead to the development of resistance in insect populations exposed to the GMO crops. So there was a study conducted with bees because it was conducted with bees because they are specialized in particular nesting sites, which makes them sensitive to changing habitat conditions. So in this study, they concluded that there are direct and indirect effects of in this direct toxic effects. They saw that the bees had a modified behavior, and in the indirect one, there was the alternation of phenotype or physiology of the plant, and also the decrease of weed abundance in the GMO fields. So it was concluded that more sampling and studies are necessary to evaluate the impacts of GMOs in bees. So there was a study that tried to analyze the efficiency of GMOs over native breeds, and in this study they tried to identify and isolate the desired gene to see how they transfer into another genome. So this transference would show how they act compared to one another, and they concluded that GMO benefits are short term compared to the nature ones. So the conclusions of the study basically were new patterns and new uses of GMO tools for agricultural commodities should be those that can take advantage of existing information in nature, because what is in nature already is stable. Action steps proposed towards a solution. Uh, Approaches that benefit the population rather than industrial control and food as a commodity should be taken into consideration or being a priority. Uh, Also, the government should sponsor independent research institutions to analyze the possible effects of GMOs in human lives and also in the ecosystems. Should have stricter tests for GMOs before they are released for consumption, and limit production of GMOs and isolation of areas for farming. More international regulations for GMOs that would reinforce the environment protection and better distribution of food for fighting hunger.